Are you ready to learn what red flags keep an eye out for when looking for love?
Then we got you covered. I'm Brianna.
And I'm Alex.
And this is the podcast where we unpack reality TV and call out the bullshit.
So that you show up confidently while dating and in relationships.
Welcome to
Ditch the Script.
I love it. Hello, puppet.
Hello.
How you doing?
I'm hanging in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a bit of a week. You know, my boyfriend is in excruciating pain. And what's annoying for him is like it comes in these really severe waves. And so he hasn't eaten anything. He hasn't slept. You know, and now he's fasting because he has to go get some more imaging done. So it's just been a bit of a roller coaster over here in the household, but we're keeping on.
Isn't being part of the U.S. medical system just an absolute dream among dreams?
Yeah, and I was telling you this the other night when it happened, but like our experience with the ER was, I've heard of horror stories with doctors, but I've never experienced them firsthand, and I was flabbergasted. Like, just completely flabbergasted. Even Jordan, like, we left, and he was like, I saw your cat claws come out for a little bit. It was hot. Because, like, I'm usually so easygoing and, like, overly apologetic and, like, thank you, and, like, oh my gosh, whatever. And I am like
you
that.
Are.
But this doctor was so dismissive. Like, she was like, it's just constipation, go home. And he's like, this isn't just constipation. Like, I can't eat. And everything else, but then she got to the point to where even if we did an ultrasound, it wouldn't even change the way we treat you, because we're not going to treat you unless it's severe enough that you have you're vomiting or there's an obstruction. And I was just like, what?
Yeah.
So Jordan was just like, so I have to basically wait to be like in the process of dying and poisoning my internal body for you to like give a damn,
Yeah.
And look, I'm trying to like give them the benefit of the doubt. I'm like reaching, like, okay, I heard some girl screaming, like exorcist screams. So like clearly there was a trauma patient in the back, and like, we're going to give the doctor some grace.
Of course.
But it just is really heartbreaking for me that if that's really a policy of an ER situation, like, why?
Yeah.
Like, what is the point? Like, we're there to prevent ourselves from getting to death's door. So,
absolutely.
I don't know.
Moral of this story as well is, like, listen to your body. Like, Jordan was like, no, this doesn't feel like your regular schmegular constipation experience. This is more challenging than that.
Yeah. So pseudo dad, oh my God, I'm going to cry. I'm so thankful for him, because I'm going to try and keep it together. But he, like, for those of you who know me a little bit, my pseudo dad, who is not my biological father at all, but very much adopt me just because of our connection and like, whatever, story for another day. But he's a doctor. And so we called him, and he got the ultrasound, and we're thankful that we were able to get in this soon. Cause I know I was telling you, Brie, like, earliest appointment would have been November. And it's like I said, Jordan hasn't been eating, like even liquids give him excruciating pain. And so, yeah, he also got us some great painkillers so Jordan can get a little bit of sleep in. So, he's a little loopy, but I'm just, we're just on the right track now.
Yeah.
So I'm really thankful for the people in my life, and like it really is a testament that like everything happens for a reason. Like I wouldn't know him if I didn't have an old job of mine.
Yeah.
And like there's just so many things that you can track back. Like if this didn't happen, I wouldn't have the access to him and that help and support today.
Something else you had mentioned when we were just like chatting this week, because this was a really hard week for you. It's just like the fact that you're even here right now is a commitment that you've made, and you're showing up, and it says a lot about your character and your work ethic, but also your like commitment to this thing that we're doing, which is, it's great. But what I was going to say is, like, we were chatting and you were like, this is the perk of one of the many perks of owning my own business, because I'm able to like run around, flex my schedule take my boyfriend to the ER, like rearrange my plans, like call doctors, like do what I got to do, call in my resources because you're on your time.
Yes, I will say, and this is actually, and I'm super duper thankful, but there's been a little bit of light shed on some work that I still need to do, because I feel very guilty approaching my clients and being like, hey, I need to move you because of what's going on in my life. Like, I actually just had to do that earlier today, and I was putting off doing it and trying to figure out how I could make, an hour-long trip to get like 30 minutes there, drop him off, 30 minutes back, see the client, go back to pick up Jordan. I was really trying to make that happen because obviously Jordan can't drive himself. He's on some serious drugs. So I was avoiding doing it because I was like, I can make this work. And then this morning I was like, Alex, stop trying to be an overachiever right now. Like, you need to see to your partner's needs. Like, so I feel a lot of guilt with approaching my clients and making that request of like, I'm unable to see you at your scheduled time today, but can we move you later? Can we move you tomorrow? Right. Are you comfortable skipping the week? I feel a lot of guilt. And Jordan, being the partner he is like, baby, you don't need to do it. Like, I'll figure it out. I'll Uber there.
Right.
And I'm like, nah, like this is good exercise for me on getting comfortable having these conversations and getting rid of this like self-projected guilt,
Absolutely.
So
this is your family emergency.
I know.
And you get to have those. Everyone gets to have them. Your clients get to have them too.
Yeah. And it's funny because like when I started this business, like, I don't know if you know, but Jordan was literally the person who was like, you should just be a relationship coach. Oh, wow. This was all his idea because he was like, you do this for free. You're so great at it. Why don't you make it a business? Yeah. And so that's what happened over COVID. And him and I used to have intense conversations when I was first starting this process. And one of the things we always said was like, I want to be available to my kids. Like, I don't ever want to have to be like, do I stay home with my sick kid or do I, go to work and try and get a sitter? Like, I don't ever want to be that. Like, I want to be available. And so it's like, okay, wait, that also applies to my partner, And so that was kind of that's the work I'm doing right now on myself, like being super transparent as an entrepreneur, learning how to be flexible with my schedule and communicate in a timely manner with my clients on what's going on and giving them options, for their treatment. So I'm not leaving them hanging, but it's a skill. So that's what I'm working on.
But I'm glad you mentioned that because, this is something that that you need to work on and that you're trying to hold yourself accountable to now. And now you've fully expressed it on a recording. So we have this audio file to say, bitch, you said this. So when are you doing it? So we're going to hold you accountable. The Ditch the Script community is going to hold you accountable for this growth that you need for your life.
Thank you, everybody.
We have you. We got you.
And I appreciate that. I really do. I think for me, I definitely know the way that I work is like, if I know I have to answer to somebody, I get it done, So
and now it's
we're doing it.
We're watching. Yes.
All right, but let's talk about our Bachelorette. It's time for the badge breakdown, baby.
Badge breakdown, down. I don't know what sound effect that is, but I made it.
Yeah, and it's freaking great. We're going to go with it.
This was exciting. This was a really fun first episode. What did you think about it?
Oh my God. I have so many notes. I'm looking at them right now. Yeah. So many notes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I'm excited I want to hear your opinion on a few things I saw. And obviously there were a lot of little laughs. And I think if we have one takeaway from this first episode, it's that Michelle is starting off on the right foot and is basically practicing everything I preach to my clients.
Here.
So yes.
Here.
I'm so proud.
That's actually exactly what I was thinking about. When I was watching it, we'll get into this in a little bit more detail about what she actually did that made us both feel this way, because I think we're talking about the same thing. But when I was watching this moment, this particular moment that's in my head, I was thinking, this is what Kiefer and I talk about all the time. This is what she gets on her social medias and tries to share as like helpful resources all the time. And I loved actually seeing that in popular mainstream media.
Me too. Oh. I want to just celebrate her. Go Michelle.
Go Michelle. She was fierce.
She was so fierce, and she was her through and through. And I'm really thankful that it's a mainstream media that, like you said, is demonstrating this. And it's just, the proof is in the pudding, man. Like the way that she calls it out, she's quick, she's clear, she's concise, like, you know, she's confidently, I don't know if stern is the right word, but she's very like, this is where I'm at, and she owns it. There's no fluff. She's not wishy-washy.
Yeah, that's right.
You know? But yet respectful. So I'm really, really excited to kind of unpack all of the things.
Yeah. Wait, well, before we move on, why don't we sort of take this moment to give some context about this. This was probably like a highlight of the episode for me, even though it was the most like dramatic moment of why you and I are having this shared feeling about Michelle and like all of her absolute queenness. So the guy's name was Ryan, right? Okay.
Yeah. Oh my God.
And we'll talk about him more because he's like a case study in and of himself.
I so agree. Yes. Okay.
But if we just isolate the behavior, so basically what happens is, and this is a spoiler alert, so if you haven't watched it yet and you're listening to this and you want to watch it, sorry, we're about to spill some effing tea. Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, we are.
So Ryan comes in and he, first of all, his introduction, outside of getting to know him a little bit in like the, I don't know, the
package, the I'm shirtless on a tractor
yes
package.
Exactly, thank you. Yeah. I was going to describe it as like the foreplay of the episode, but that was really helpful as well.
Yeah Jordan used to be in film, and he is dedicated to watching this with me every week. And so he, in the film industry, those like intros apparently are called video packages. So
love that.
That's what I mean by package. Not as meat and potatoes, lady. I really, really mean video package.
Because we saw his meat and potatoes, and I did not like it. No. Okay, so when he introduces himself to Michelle, he hops out of an ice cream truck. He jumps out of an ice cream truck, and at first I was like, "My dude, you're gonna get out of an ice cream truck, and you're not even holding one singular ice cream." I'd send him right back. I say, turn around. So he gets out of his ice cream truck, and he definitely has this like suave mentality that he's walking in with. And she likes him. She's struck by him.
Oh, yeah.
And then we come to find out that the host, Tasia, what's her other friend's name?
Caitlin Bristow, which, by the way, I am the biggest KB fan. Like, we could maybe have a whole other topic on that, but like, I freaking love KB.
Yeah, I'd
great.
love to know more about her in the future, because I've really like I said, I'm really late to watching these series, so I don't have a relationship with her outside of hosting, which has been interesting. But she's hysterical. She's hysterical. So basically, Tasia and KB had in the beginning of the episode, they had gone into some of the hotel rooms of some of these guys. Ryan is one of the guys that they sort of explore their hotel room. And they notice that he has like a lot of notes, and they're finding it fishy, and that's really all we get to know about it. And then Michelle meets him. She likes him. She's like she's a little swept off of her feet. Like, he's doing something to her. And then Tasia and KB pull her for a chat. They pull her for the warning chat, and they're like, "Girl, don't trust this guy. We saw these notes. They seemed really suspicious. Do something." And then she decides to pull Ryan for a chat.
Right.
Help me understand what she did in that moment, Miss Coach. What did she do?
Okay, like, let me just open and consult my notes, because I wrote like a paragraph about this, because Oh my God. Yeah. Okay. So first of all, when they pull her, I love that they're very direct about like what they saw. Great job.
Yeah.
Quick, concise communication. And then my whole point is like, this is why, ladies, this is why when you have an inkling, when you hear something that's not off, you want to do it as soon as possible. You want to confront it. Like I'm constantly telling clients, like, you need to, I know it's uncomfortable. Let's just start there. Pump the brakes. It's uncomfortable. It's scary. And the reason that when we are speaking up for ourselves, when we're asking clarifying questions to gain more insight on a situation or a behavior or anything like that, we freak ourselves out because subconsciously we know there's a risk of connection, right? Like if I speak up, there's a potential for a negative reaction. Now, side note, if you are already scared of your partner's reaction to asking a clarifying question, that in and of itself is shedding light on the fact you don't feel safe with this person to communicate. All right. So that, if that's you, something to think about. But you want to nip this in the bud as soon as possible because you don't want to be wasting time, right? And not only that, when we withhold our words and just start the overanalyzing, overthinking, ruminating on whatever happens, we start to self-sabotage in the sense that it tends to instigate our crazy, right? Our own form of crazy, whether that's we're lurking 7 years back exes and like what they looked like, where they went, all of that, or we're blowing up their phone and calling them 85 times. And so I'm really proud that Michelle was just like, I'm not going to sit and think about this on my own time. Because in past Bachelorettes, they've been confronted by other men in the house and they've, you know, said, hey, look, this dude, I'm not getting a good vibe. And instead of confronting them, they get in their head. They're like, I'm going to make my own decisions. But it's like, no, if someone's coming to you saying it's worth a conversation, you know? So bringing this all back, like Michelle did exactly that. She got the information. It didn't sit well with her. And especially in the juxtaposition or the contrast of what she was already starting to feel for Ryan versus bad news. And she was like, I'm not going to sit on this. I'm not going to let it marinate. I'm going to go get his side of the story immediately. I also love that she was like, okay, well, if these notes are in this building, let's
go find them. Take me to the notes.
And then I was just going to say, I love that her teacher side came out when she was reading the paper. She was like, no, don't talk to me right now.
A very useful skill in that moment when you have like someone doing a lot of this. That's actually really interesting because like, especially when it comes to manipulation, if someone's trying to manipulate you, trust me, they are going to want to take up the space with their own words. So exactly, smoke and mirrors. So just for a little bit of context, if anyone didn't watch this, the notes on Ryan's pages included like helpful tips that he'd been collecting after, I guess, consulting with friends and watching the show to figure out how to get more airtime, how to stay preserved on the show. Interesting facts about Michelle. I wouldn't have been so concerned about interesting facts about Michelle, which like, if you have to take really like serious notes, then you must not feel super confident about your ability to just connect and to build an organic connection. So that already sort of is like a red flag because I know that if I went on a date with someone that had like notes because they Googled me because they're like, I heard that you're a Libra, so I learned all these things about being a Libra. I'd be like, oh my God, your energy already is making me feel like very limp dick. Right?
Yeah.
So,
I did write down a direct quote that he kind of had like a little self-slip moment in his confessional.
Let's hear it.
And his exact words were, I'm not trying to do anything for the right reasons.
What does that mean?
He literally said that.
What does that mean?
Well, if we take the not out, it's, I'm trying to do anything for the right reasons, right? I'm trying to do everything.
Gotcha.
But he says, I'm not trying to do anything. So I just thought it was really interesting verbiage. And like, it's one of those things like in the panic, you reveal yourself. You know what I mean? Like he knew he was on the verge of getting caught. By the way, who the F wrote these notes? Because if it wasn't him, like they clearly have a mole or something because they are in depth, like common phrases that are said every episode or every season. Like it's in depth.
Yeah.
And so I'm just like, where did that come from? But clearly he knew. He was like in the hot seat. She was not okay with what she was seeing. And in his haste to try and make up or, you know, have himself look like he's a good dude, he said that statement, which Jordan and I were both like, oh, that didn't come out the way you wanted it to.
No. I have a question for you on your opinion. Now, granted, we don't have all of the details about this particular person, Ryan.
Right.
There's a lot of information that we don't have about him. So I'm careful not to make like a really harsh judgment, but
Agreed.
Observing the behavior alone, do you suspect, does this meet any criteria of narcissistic or sociopathic behaviors, qualities? I'm prepared for the answer to be no.
I don't think I've seen enough yet to be able to confidently say. I will say there's another person who does strike me on that. And I don't know his name, but it was Creepy Salad Guy. The guy who like had his
in
head.
The dinner table. Okay, I have a lot of thoughts about dinner table guy. And his name is Rick. And my note on him was, glad to see her put the lid back on him.
Yes. Oh my God, that's freaking hilarious.
Annoying. I have a lot of thoughts about Rick, but we'll get there. What were you? So there was someone. That's the person that you felt like was edging. Yeah. But this guy, not so much. Ryan.
I haven't seen enough yet. Like, and he got sent home, right? So like, it doesn't even matter in the end, which is fine. But like, I don't have enough. I feel like that could be stemming from a deep insecurity and lack of self-trust and ability to connect with people, like you said. Like, it could be stemming from there. Regardless, so like to slap a label on, like, is it sociopathic or narcissistic tendencies? I don't feel confident enough in my own knowledge of what I've seen, you know, to be able to say like stamp of approval in that area. You know what I mean? It's more for me, the salad guy, definitely, which we can talk about because there was some body language and some stuff that like came up where I was like, ooh, creepy. But with him, like, I can tell you this, he's not in the right place to be looking for love. I can say that with the utmost confidence.
Yeah, I like that. I think that's fair.
Yeah. Yeah, like whether it's deep insecurities or his own wounds, or it is some kind of something on some personality spectrum, fine. But, you know, at the end of the day, I'm glad Michelle sent him home. I think it was a boss babe move, and good for her.
Yeah, I'm really glad that I don't know what the conversations with the producers may have been during this time, but I'm glad that she didn't keep him for the sake of, like, quote, good television, end quote. You know what I mean?
Villainry.
Yeah, because honestly, I had enough as soon as he stepped out without ice cream. I was done with I was done with him. I would like to sum up and maybe officially diagnose him as a try-hard.
Oh, I like it. So, if anyone is listening and wants to seduce Brianna, ice cream, apparently.
Ice cream.
Is
at least,
one
like,
of the ways.
Don't tease me. Like, don't bring me to, like, an ice cream truck and be like, oh, look, an ice cream truck. And then have us keep walking. Yeah. If I'm not going to get a Choco Taco, this relationship is done. That's how I feel.
I love Choco Tacos.
Me too, bitch. Me too.
Choco Tacos are a good choice.
All right, let's talk about salad. Oh, what were you going to say?
Yeah, we will talk about Salad Guy, but can we just pause for a second? Because I've stayed away from so many spoilers that I didn't fucking realize that this show is being filmed, at least this beginning stage, 30 minutes from where I live.
Oh, yeah, it's in Palm Springs.
It's in Indian Wells, which is my back door.
Wow.
And Jordan and I are debating, like, keeping track of what dates they do at the resort and going and, like, recreating them ourselves.
Oh my God,
just
cute,
for fun.
but in, like, a less cringe way, because a lot of these scenarios are quite cringe.
But also maybe not super cringe. Maybe we'll play it up and just make a TikTok out of it, because I think that would be kind of hilarious.
Anything for content.
I don't know. We'll see. I'm learning from your mother.
Oh,
The content queen.
And she's learning from you. There's a mutual exchange of education and information. Speaking of my mom, we were watching this episode together, and I had even corralled my dad into watching this episode for at least the first 45 minutes. Now, they both expressed disdain, but they did both very much get into it, because my dad said that Apple guy is cheesy as hell, basically. There's a guy who showed up in like an Apple. Basically, there were a lot of dudes who were trying to do like student teacher bits, and some of them were sexy and some of them flopped super hard.
Yeah. Okay. Before we talk about Salad Guy's like red flags, do you have any favorites so far? Like, is there anyone where you're like, ooh, you're cool?
I'll tell you my favorites now. I think later on we should get into like honorable mentions that people that we liked, but like we didn't really get to know. Yeah. Right now, Nate is my top.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, Nate, I liked immediately, but I think I was just like personally already really attracted to him. I was like, you're cute as fuck. I'm going to find a lot of things that you do very attractive, and I might try to defend you if anyone says anything weird about you, or if you do anything weird. But then Nate ended up getting the first impression rose, and I was like, yeah, he gets mine too.
Wow, I'm the polar opposite. He gave me weird vibes. So this is going to be... I'm fascinated. This is why we're doing this, guys. Yeah. Okay? Like, it's so interesting to me how we all perceive people differently and, like, what we pick up on and all those things. Yeah. So, like, I'm so excited to see how this season progresses and, like, our viewpoints on him.
Yeah, a little bit of context. I have not had a great track record of noticing and taking in red flags. So this could be right on par for me and my history.
Oh, I have notes on him, so we can.
Okay,
if we want, we can
let's get into it. Let's before we move on to your top pick. Let's.
The Salad Guy.
No. Let's dive into Nate. What's wrong with him? Tell me. I don't want to know, but I want to know.
I'm literally having to scan through so I literally have it in here. How do you feel about Nate, Brianna? I have it in here to ask you. Okay, because I will say he has pretty eyes.
Gorgeous.
Okay? But he gave me like weird vibes. I'm not sure if it's his nerves, which I also put in my notes. Yep. But I felt like his words were really lofty and not clear. Like, I have a quote in here from him. Like, it says at one point he said like, together this togetherness, and it just felt like a lot of mumbo jumbo. And so here's my thing, and like we'll also unpack this with Ryan, and I know you saw this with Thomas on Katie's season, because we kind of talked about how his words aren't making much sense. Like, when you really pick them apart, it's just everything they want to hear. It's a lot of fluff. It gives you the warm fuzzies, but there's no real value in them, right? And so I kind of got that initial vibe with Nate, but however, I do think it's really important to admit that it's the first night. It's the first night he's meeting this girl. It's the first night he's meeting all these guys. So do I think that people can, self-sabotage isn't the right word, but their nerves can alter the way that they show up and the way that they communicate?
The answer is yes, absolutely. I totally believe that. His words didn't make any sense. I wonder if he's just a little bit stupid. I don't know. He could just be sort of a big, gorgeous dummy.
He could.
We're going to find out.
We're going to find out, time will tell. And I think and the other thing, and I know you and I have talked about this, but guys, we got to be really honest here with this series, is the producers know who wins already. The producers know, and editors really is what I should be saying. Producers and editors know who wins. They know who comes across as the villain and gets sent home early. Like, they know all of that. So from the beginning in their editing, they're already positioning the material we see to give us that storyline, that plot line. They're laying out the quote unquote characters of the season for us from the get-go. And so, Brianna and I are going to give you all of the things that we see. but we have to also make the disclaimer that we see 20 hours total of these people.
And it's very carefully curated.
Exactly. And so, you know, again, this is a very, like, for lack of a better way to put it, a black and white, this is the information I'm receiving, this is what I think of it. But there's not going to be a point where either you or I say without a shadow of a doubt, you know, guaranteed this person is diagnosable and this person isn't.
Yeah,
you know?
because
I don't think
they have marketers and editors. Moving things. Having that been said, and I really appreciate that disclaimer because it's television magic, which is, again, sort of what inspired us to make this podcast, because the television magic is what's sort of poorly informed what we think is real love and connection. And that's what we're trying to, like, help people and ourselves tease out as we actually navigate the real world. But, sort of to your point about Nate, when you're noticing that he's saying a lot of the quote right things, you know, that will become evident in the other televised conversations that we see him have with Michelle. It will become very clear, at least to us, very quickly, if he is just doing a lot of lip service. Yeah. And although I do have this thought, well, the lip services can a lot of times be like a really indicative sign of manipulation, or at least just like trying to get people to do just what they want to do for their own selfish needs, like feeling validated and loved and keeping people around, which I guess is just a longer form way of saying manipulation. Yeah. But I do think that it's not good. It's not good. I do think that some people struggle with like taking in the feedback from their partner that says, I hear that you're saying all of these nice things, but I need you to show me. I think that people do really struggle with that aren't intentionally trying to like manipulate. Do you have thoughts?
Oh, yeah. There's a whole argument going down on a TikTok of mine right now about that exact thing, because I was saying, like, there's a difference between knowing your partner loves you and feeling like your partner loves you. And I have so many comments, and just to give you a full insight into how this breaks down is, like, the end of that TikTok says, if that's you, make the request. I would feel more loved if you could do, you know, A, B, or C, you know? And so many people are like, so I have to ask someone to love me for the rest of my life, or I shouldn't have to communicate it. They should just know. And this is a huge myth, guys, that I have been trying to break, because the reality is no two people on this planet love the same way or receive love the same way, right? Give love and receive love. And so I know we touched on this early in our first episode, or maybe our second, but a great example is my relationship with Jordan. Like, Jordan is a physically affectionate man, and I am not. I am a girl who did not grow up with a lot of physical affection, and so it doesn't come naturally to think about, right? To initiate or anything. And so Jordan, you know, we've had that talk at least twice in our relationship, probably way more than that, but 2 times I can think of it off the top of my head, where he has to lovingly give me that reminder, hey baby, I need more cuddles, or like, you know, can you initiate more? And so the reality is that we cannot assume that our partners know how we want to receive love, and we need to advocate for ourselves. We have to. It is a healthy thing to do. If you're not advocating for your desires and needs, that is what leads to toxic dynamics, unhealthy
resentment. And I do think that there's a level of responsibility that you, as the person who feels like you haven't received the love that you feel that you deserve in the way that you would like it, you have to take some responsibility as the fact that you didn't share any of that with that person. And you can make judgments on the person who is hearing what it is that you're asking for and what you're looking for, and you're being super clear and you're giving examples and you're being calm when you're trying to express these desires and these needs. And if they're still not doing it, you know, that's a different challenge, and that's a different part of this
conversation.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks for that insight. I needed to hear it. Salad guy.
All right, let me get to my salad guy notes.
Salad guy, while you're pulling up notes, salad guy showed up in true spooky fashion, right in time for spooky season, he, at least for it airing in spooky season, he did that old trick. It's so funny. My mom was like, well, that was quite innovative. And I was like, no, it's not. He showed up underneath a table with like a little dinner set, and he was underneath like the metal
serving tray.
Exactly. And this like table rolls up, this sweet woman, this poor woman, who I hope is getting paid a lot of money, rolls it out to Michelle. And Michelle is just like, what do I do? Am I supposed to open it? And she's like, obviously aware that if she's supposed to open it, there's going to be a head underneath. She opens up the dinner tray top and reveals Rick.
Right. Yeah. I'm glad you know his name, because I literally have biggest red flag, creepy salad dude. That's what I have in my notes. And here's when he finally comes out of, first of all, let me go to when he does his intro, because Jordan's exact words were like, that guy's gonna murder her. He was like freaking out about his intense eyes.
Yes.
And he was just like, yeah, Jordan's exact quote was, he's gonna eat her face off.
I noticed that too. It was specifically, and it was really because, first of all, Michelle's she's a former basketball player, so she's hella
she's
tall.
A tall lady.
Hella tall. But this guy is now at like hip uterus level at this dinner table, and he's looking at her if you're listening and not watching this, he's looking at her from the top of his eyeballs, which is giving OD creepiness. OD creepiness.
Oh, so creepy. And like the weird smile, it was just, it was uncomfortable, to say the least.
And then his creepiness actually progressed, because
so go ahead. Oh, you want me to go?
Yeah.
Okay. So when he gets out of his little salad buffet situation and sits on the couch next to her, first of all, he's taller than her, like in heels. So he stands up, and this is, I think, a trap that a lot of women fall. I mean, look, I'll be honest here. This was me. If you were, over 6'2" or 6'3", all of my judgment, it was like alcohol. All of my judgments went out the door, because I'm a tall woman.
Yeah.
So immediately I was like, oh, you're taller than me, so my judgment is like impaired now.
Is he cute or is he tall?
Yeah.
Cute,
exactly. And so that's like the case with him. So the second he got out and he was tall, I got nervous, because I was like, if he was her height or shorter, she probably, and this is my own judgment call, but I really think that it impairs a woman's judgment sometimes, especially if you're already a tall woman and it's difficult to find a guy taller.
Where is the vaccine for the tall like infatuation drug that we are all under? I need the vaccine. I will take it as soon as it's ready. I need it.
Yeah, you're not alone, So here's the deal, and I wrote I felt like detailed notes here. So he gets to the couch with her, and if you've already watched this, I challenge you to go back and watch it again and pinpoint this stuff. So intense eye contact, holding her singular hand with both of his hands, squaring the shoulders off, leaning forward. Words were very clear, very concise, and well rehearsed. So it was very intense language very quickly, right? Saying all of the right things the second he could. And so for me, ladies, if you ever meet a man who is sly AF, right? And like slick, smooth, suave, all cunning, charming. And it's like, there's no pause to think about what to say next, or there's no stutter, right? It's just like this well-rehearsed monologue of like, I'm really dedicated to this process and I can't wait to get to know you on a deeper, more intimate level. I'm here for the right reasons. Like, and that all very quickly creates a false sense of intimacy, right? And so it was just like blaring alarms for me in that snippet.
And it's the kind of interaction that even if you have a funny feeling about it and you go talk to your friends afterwards and you're like, he told me that he like really wants a relationship, and he told me that like he like is so serious about me, your friends are likely, unless they're like your OGs and they
trained.
Yeah, they're trained, or they're your OGs and they also maybe have a difficulty trusting men. They're going to be like, what's the problem? He's saying like all of these really nice things. What's the issue? You're complaining about what? You know what I mean? Like that's why it's so tricky, and it's why you got to be so cognizant of that body language that you're talking about, because it's manipulative.
It is. You gotta pay attention. And like, this is why with my content, I say this a lot, like, you gotta stop dating on autopilot. You gotta be your own private investigator, right? Look for the physical evidence before you get emotionally invested, because as we've both said, and the biggest thing that we can take away from this first episode is time will tell, and pay attention to someone's consistent behaviors over the words that they say, right? Like, those are the biggest things. Time will tell, you know, like, obviously I will say this guy, what's his name?
Rick.
What's Creepy Salad guy's name? Rick. Which is so sad because, you know, it reminds me of Rick and Morty.
I know, and I love Rick and Morty. Though, like, Rick also racks up his own... Rick racks up his own douchebag points in his own right.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Exactly. But, like, yeah, bummer. But anyway, this Rick guy, like, time will tell. I feel like time will confirm what I say. I can say that. At this very moment, I do feel like I have a good guess that that's a guy to watch. Right?
The reason why I also felt exactly how you felt, and I missed it earlier at first. Oh my God. I was susceptible to the same tall guy thing. I'm telling you, I need drugs to cure me. Because I was like, the salad thing was just cringy. I was like, this is so lame.
So cringe.
So lame. And then when he finally got out, I was like, oh, you're cute. You're pretty handsome. That's interesting. Let's find out more about you. All of a sudden, I was intrigued. But the moment where things turned for me again is the obsessive language that he was using in his interviews. So now he's met her, but he's having his like one-on-one interviews with the producers, and he's just like talking about how he's going to feel if he doesn't get a rose. I'm going to be so upset. I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but he's like, I'm going to be so upset and I don't know what I'm going to do and yada, yada, yada. So I'm thinking two thoughts. Either this is all bullshit and you're just trying to fill in again what you think is appropriate feelings and language assigned to this particular situation and you being in this situation, or you're obsessive and, like Jordan says, you're going to eat her face.
Yeah.
You might eat her face.
Oh my God. Well, we'll see.
Yeah.
The season will shed
as my mom says, he got a flower. My mom's never watched The Bachelor or Bachelorette before in her entire life. But we're watching the rose ceremony and she goes, so who's going to get the flower?
Yeah. That's so adorable.
It's so cute.
It's so cute.
Who's going to get the flower? And I'm like, you're not wrong. They're flowers. They're roses.
Yeah. Okay, so I have a few other funny things that I want to bring up that are a little more lighthearted, but before I do, I just want to give Michelle a little trophy moment of how, you know, when she was sending Ryan home, her quotes at the end, because of course once she made her decision, he started to try and backpedal and be like, can you give me another chance? Can you this? And she said, no, I'm choosing to listen to the red flags that I'm getting. Like, she stood up for herself. She, again, respectful but stern. And then when he tried to convince her more, she said, again, my decision is made. Okay. Right. And ladies, take that and let it permeate your body or mind or soul, because that is a beautiful, just even if you have I'm a big proponent of having certain phrases tucked away so that in the moment when you need to reach for them, it's like you don't, because those panicky stress hormones that come on when you're having these scary conversations or that are very uncomfortable, you know, your brain kind of short circuits and it makes it harder for you to find your words. And so having a few phrases like this, like, again, my decision is made, you know, this isn't what I'm looking for. Or again, you know, I really enjoyed meeting you, but at this point, I don't feel it's in my best interest to continue. You know, whatever phrases you want to formulate or create and have tucked away, do it, because Michelle in the moment was just such a great example of like, I'm here, I'm going to remain authentic. She gives a whole authenticity speech, you know, I I'm so proud of her. Like, she is killing it.
I want to give her another trophy, something we haven't mentioned yet.
Yeah.
The situation with Joe.
Which situation with
Joe
Joe?
is...
Oh, Joe. Yes, the guy from
First of all, Joe.
Yes.
Objectively, for me, hottest dude in this lineup.
Beautiful eyes. Best
Beautiful.
eyes.
Oh, my God. Joe. I need a Joe vaccine as well. He's hot. This is one to watch out for because he is hot. So the backstory, my mom was confused because she doesn't understand like Instagram dating that like
DMing,
before. I mean, she understands DMing, but not in like the dating kind of way. They're obviously like she's hearing that they've been talking and she's like, did they date? And I'm like, no, they didn't. They weren't even close to dating. They were chatting. No. They were messaging back and forth. They both are from Minneapolis. They're messaging back and forth. I don't know who initiated that. I don't know who knew about who first, but they obviously found each other attractive, which is no secret. They're both gorgeous. They do look very well suited. And she said that they were messaging and then he ghosted her. He fell off the face of the earth. He never answered her ever again. She probably left that and just like kept it moving. So when she saw him, she recognized him. She realized he was familiar when he like came out of the limo. Then on his way to the building, she calls out his name because she like remembers his full government name. and then he confirms, and then they're in the cocktail hour and she pulls him and she sits him down. And I didn't know that she was going to do this. I just thought that she was going to be like, wow, this is so interesting that you're here. Yada, yada, yada. I'm so excited to see you. I thought that she was going to be like, these are all the reasons why I thought that you were attractive when we were chatting. But instead she was like, yeah, some messages.
Why'd you ghost me?
Yeah, exactly. She said, I guess you forgot to hit send on a couple of those messages once we were talking. And he gave this, I don't want to call it bullshit excuse because I really am I'm not the one to make that call. But what he responded with was, this is obviously right before George Floyd's death, murder. And he was like, there was a lot going on. I had a really hard time. I wasn't in a place where I was looking for a relationship, so on and so forth. Valid reasons to feel distracted and not like using your phone for dating purposes. And she replied in the most graceful, amazing way. I couldn't even imagine handling this in a more mature fashion and in a way that honored herself as well. But she was like, listen, this is her speaking as a woman of color. Like, you don't need to tell me how impactful that was. And as a resident of Minneapolis, like, you don't need to tell me how impactful that was. Like that, obviously that was huge.
Yeah.
I didn't need you to be in a relationship to be able to let me know that now was not a good time to even just keep chatting, Yeah. She held that down so hard. She was so graceful. She was like, that communication red flag is big for me. And he acknowledged that. He says he's in therapy. And she was like, I see you. I'm holding space to validate the fact that you're making these efforts to work on this thing for yourself. As you tell me that, I'm choosing to believe you. And I'm still not going to let you just get off that easy for me, with me.
Yeah. It was another badass babe move because, again, ladies, something that made her feel uncomfortable, right? The ghosting. Yeah. She did not, like Brianna said, she did not ignore it and try and think like, okay, well, let's move on and be present. Like that happened in the past. No, she confronted it because it didn't sit well with her. She wanted to hear his side of the story. When he approached her with that side of the story, she validated him and still stood up for herself, right? Like she even said like, I'm not sure about this in this moment, but like, let's see how it goes. Like, let's take some time. And he ended up getting a rose. Great. But like clearly there was enough of a connection.
But
there.
she made him work for it. He was the last rose. He didn't know if he was going to get one. He had no idea where he stood after that conversation was had. And she did not make it easy for him to feel secure. My feeling is that once he did realize that he did get a rose, he was like feeling grateful instead of cocky.
Right. And that's, again, just such a beautiful demonstration of how to speak your truth, remain respectful, and not be manipulated or convinced that something isn't a big deal, because what matters is it was a big deal to her. And her being able to confront that and be very clear with him, at the same time still being like, she said something like, you're a black man in therapy, talking about that on national television, that is huge. Like, she was like so freaking, you know, pumped.
She validated that. But, she validated that in a really important way, without questioning it.
Yeah, and without making her point less important.
Exactly.
You know, and so beautiful job, celebratory moment, whoop whoop, get it, girl.
Yeah, I did have a thought when we were getting to know that backstory, which was my initial thought before they had their one-on-one conversation about it. My first thought was, okay, so you obviously know her. You stopped messaging her. It would have been a hell of a lot easier to just keep messaging her. But now you're here. So why are you here? Because that didn't send the message to me of like, this is you making an effort to like be in Michelle's life because you didn't get your shot. No, you had your shot. You didn't. You were the only one. Now you're up against 29 other men or however many other men. Yeah, it just sort of gave me like a little bit of weariness where I was sort of thinking like, are you here for the perks that come with being on the show?
Agreed. And again, time will reveal all the secrets.
Makes for great television though. Hot damn.
So great. Okay. Ready for this question that I have for you?
Yeah.
What's your opinion on banana hammocks?
I find them offensive. Depending on the context. If we're in Europe and we're on a beach, live your truth. That's so normal and so appropriate.
Literally what I wrote.
Yeah. It's context. Context is everything. What did I write about? I called him LT with the speedo tuxedo.
Yeah.
That offended me. I don't want to see your gonads. I don't want to see the shape of your gonads in a public setting, especially when you're all business and cocktail attire up top. That is weird.
Especially when I don't know your first name yet. Like, pump the brakes.
Yeah,
okay?
It's enough for me, dog. How did he get a rose? That's my concern.
I don't know. I don't recall them having a convo,
we didn't get to
but
see
maybe
it.
they
We didn't
did.
get to see it.
Maybe they did, and it was, you know, he has some charm. I don't
Yeah.
know. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I want to hit on other than the fact that, can we just take a moment and say how Michelle's parents are
Adorable.
#couple goals.
Yeah, they're adorable. I love them.
Yeah.
So wholesome. So cute.
So
love
honest.
her honest, and they love her so much.
Yeah, and she knows it, because like she even said that, like, I had a beautiful demonstration of what a healthy relationship looks like, which is why she can show up on The Bachelorette the way she can, you know, and that's what all of us are aiming to kind of integrate into our love lives. But it's just like, I wanted to make a point in pointing out their beautiful relationship, because I think a lot of us are, especially in our generation and even the generation behind us, you know, younger than us, but there is such a jadedness around long-term monogamy, and it's possible, right? With the right skill set, with the right person, it's possible. And I think they are a beautiful example of that. And so if anyone needs that feeling of hope and inspiration, watch their interactions and how they talk to each other, about each other, and to their child.
It's
like, it's so beautiful.
It's really nice. I relate to that, actually. Not that I see too many similarities in her parents with my parents, but my parents have been together since like their youth, and I've had that model in my life for a really long time, and it really does set up a standard. It's like, no, at least for me, the standard that I have is like, my relationship needs to be founded on a partnership and a friendship, because that's what they are. My mom's like, that's my best friend. That's my homie. She doesn't call him her homie, but I know that that's her homie. you know?
Yeah.
And that's I don't know if like having a really strong like model of love in your family makes it difficult for everyone to find a satisfying connection, but it has been hard for me in that way because I really am not interested in settling for a lot less.
Yeah, but that's a beautiful thing to have. And I'm a firm believer that just as much as you're looking for your person's looking for you. So it's just a matter of being in the right place at the right time and open, available to receive in that
That's
moment,
right.
you know? I really believe that. I'm not worried about you. It's just
No,
a
me
matter of
neither.
time.
And
then we're going to party hard.
at my wedding?
Oh, yeah. 100%.
Or are we just going to party once I found someone that's like worthy?
Why not? As Jordan would say, ¿por qué no los dos?
That's cute.
Which is poor Spanish for why not both.
Yeah.
The other thing I do want to say about your parents super fast is when Jordan and I were hanging out with y'all just a couple weeks ago, Jordan was talking to, I believe it was your mom, and about her relationship with your father and all of that. And she said to him, you know, we really just talk about everything.
Yeah.
Like we really do. We just talk about everything. And Jordan shared that with me later at our hotel because he was like, it reminded me of us because Jordan and I talk about everything. Doesn't mean our relationship's perfect, you know, like we have our own set of growing pains as every couple does. But I really agree with you that at the end of the day, what makes a relationship go the distance is that solid friendship and the ability to have every kind of conversation in the book. You know?
Yeah. And to bring it full circle definitely feels like a huge weighted value that Michelle has in this process that she's looking for right now. And while I know, listen, I was a hater for a long time, you know, on the series, but like say what you want, like, they're stage moments, it's carefully curated, it's carefully edited. But the fact is that when you really get to the end of the process, the people who are still there are genuinely looking for a connection. And no matter what brought them there or what like silly things happened along the way, that was just like in there for laughs and entertainment or drama and entertainment.
Yeah.
Like these individuals are 9 times out of 10 really seeking connection and long-term relationships. And it's nice.
It is nice. Yeah. They tend to weed out the villains by the end. And I hate that word, but they very much look like villains for the way that the editors and producers decide to portray them.
Yeah. 100%.
All right, girl.
I want to give one honorable mention before we leave.
Yes.
Pardeep.
Honorable mention.
Pardeep.
Yes. Tell me.
What a friggin' cutie. He's such a cutie. He's like, he was just so sweet. And we got to see absolutely none of him. But I wrote him down in my notes because I was like, Pardeep, one to watch. Pardeep, I hope you get your moment. I really do.
I'm really excited to see more of him.
Yeah. Friggin' cutie.
Yeah, Jordan said the same thing. Like, he seems like a really solid dude.
Yeah.
So, and you know, I also want to say that the unfortunate thing about this show is I think it really pinpoints or spotlights the villain types first. And because the gems tend to come out later, right? When this relationship's really blossoming. And so I do feel like in the early stages, the ones that are going to cause the drama are the ones we meet quickest.
Yeah, true.
So, yeah. Okay, Reddit question.
Let's go.
Okay, so first of all, there's a subreddit called Female Dating Strategy, and some of the stuff in this subreddit is fucking hilarious.
Okay, quick pause. In my early introduction into Reddit, I am obsessed.
Isn't it fascinating?
It's the most, well, also being able to like facilitate a platform to like talk about it and talk about people's questions is just the most fun in the entire world. So we're going to continue to pull things from Reddit until you start submitting questions looking for feedback on our website, which is ditchthescriptpod.com. Please share your dilemmas. We're credible. That's all I got to say.
Yeah. Yeah. And we'd be happy to like give you an answer to whatever's going on in your life. And if you want us to read it anonymously, like put it in the message, we'll happily read it anonymously without shouting out a name. You know, the beautiful thing about Reddit is it's an anonymous platform. So this question comes from, although I feel like this person put their name in their handle, Taylor 232424.
Sorry, Taylor 2324.
24.
There's 2 2-4s.
Yep.
Okay, Taylor 232424. I want to make sure I get their name right.
Yeah, you know, her question is, how do you feel when people say a man needs to feel needed? How
do you feel when a man says he needs to feel...
When people
say a man feels... Oh, she's saying...
Needs to feel
sorry,
needed.
I don't want to generalize, but Taylor 232424 is saying when people generalize about men needing to be needed.
Yeah.
I think that that's true for a lot of men. And where I get that information from is the fact that gender roles have set up that expectation for many, many, many years. That doesn't necessarily mean that it's true in all like interpersonal relationships. I have lots of different examples of men who are in loving, committed, successful relationships that their egos and self-esteem is not built on the fact that they are needed to do shit.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like, cause she kind of goes on to say, and for the sake of time for our show, I'm not reading like all of the,
you read the TLDR.
Like, within the question.
Yeah.
I did. I read the main question, you know, I left the extra part out, but she goes in to say like, you know, I'm fiercely independent. Like I don't need a man to take care of me, but you know, I keep being told by girlfriends as well as partners that like, if you can do everything, then why am I even here? And I will say this, okay, that I think being an independent person is a badass quality. I think it's something that we should be. I think everyone should be aiming to be able to be the best version of their selves as an individual, right? Like maintaining my own needs, you know, making sure that I'm managing my own triggers and all of that. And like, I have my own life. If I needed to be financially independent, I could. Like, I think all of that is beautiful.
Yes.
And at the same time, I think the reality of romantic relationships is both partners want to feel wanted. So I think it depends on when you hear someone say, I want to feel needed, you need to ask in what way. You know, what are you really looking for with those words? Because I don't think everyone defines it the same way.
Yes.
But I do think that both parties, like, because if you're in a relationship with someone where you're both so fiercely independent that there's no intimacy or reliance on your other person in some way, you know, like, for example, Jordan's relying on me to take care of him right now. You know, like I need to take him to his appointments. I need to make sure he gets his drugs. I need to make sure he's comfortable. You know what I mean? So that he can function. But that's not the entirety of our relationship. He's usually a pretty independent dude, but he still wants to feel wanted by me. You know, can you do this for me? He wants to feel useful. He wants to feel that he has access to me that others don't have access to, right?
That's such an important point. Name one single person who doesn't actually need anything from anyone else.
Right.
It doesn't exist because a lot of times when we get into that fierce independence mode, which I'm speaking from my own experience, I've lived a lot of my life not being in a partnership. So I've come to this place of like, I don't need anyone. I do everything that I need to do for myself, yada, yada, yada. Obviously there's some asterisks in there, but like, but when it comes down to it, that becomes sort of a defense mechanism because the fear of actually needing someone and maybe not having those needs be met in the way that I want them to be is scary. So if we can look at ourselves really earnestly and check in and be like, is that actually true? Can I meet every single one of my needs? Is there nowhere in my personal experience that I can't let a person that I choose to have, like you say, that like exclusive access to me because they're my chosen partner, not to have any part in my life. I can't let them take on some responsibility with me to help lighten my load just a little bit.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. And that's what builds that emotional and physical intimacy. Honestly, it starts there, because just because you can do everything doesn't mean you need to do everything all the time,
Yeah.
you know, and having that reciprocity and that push-pull dynamic within a relationship is really what creates that trust and that foundation.
Yeah.
So there you go, Taylor 232424.
Taylor 232424.
We got you.
I really hope that you are listening.
Yeah.
In this niche podcast.
Yes. Alrighty, gal. Well, that's it for this week. Do you have any other things you want to say before we sign off?
I'm so excited for the rest of Michelle season. I'm so
Me too.
excited to continue to do this with you. This is so much fun. I'm having the best time. Even it's like we're both working really hard to like put this podcast in the ears of like other people, and it's a lot, and we're both managing our own stuff, and I really think that you and I are showing up for each other, and we're showing up for the people who are now excited about this podcast with us, and I'm just like so happy to be here. It's so fun.
Yeah. Me too. Me too. I'm super stoked. This is going to be a great season of bacheloretting for Michelle.
And for us.
Podcasting for us. All right. With that being said, before we sign off, just want to say, like Bree said, if you have any questions you want to submit so we can answer them, visit our website at ditchthescriptpod.com. Also, give us a follow on the gram at ditchthescriptpod.
And our TikTok.
And our TikTok at Ditch the Script Pod too. And like and comment and spam us with all of your love and support, because we appreciate it so much.
Yeah, we really do. Love you.
Yeah. Love you guys, and make sure to leave a review or share this episode if you enjoyed it thoroughly. See you on the next one.
Bye.